Live from downtown Vancouver at the Vancouver Film School campus, it's time for EP Live. Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. And we have a very cool show for you guys today. It is another episode of EP Live, which we film live and in person in a live space called the VFS Cafe, which is at 390 West Hastings in Vancouver, BC. It's right downtown, and this close proximity to being downtown and close to one of the biggest film schools on earth allows us all kinds of access to fantastic guests. We've got one of those for you today. His name is Michal Makarewicz, and he is one of the lead animators, one of the veteran animators that has worked at Pixar. He's worked on tons of stuff, and he's going to tell us all about it, and he is currently working on Toy Story 4, which I am so excited to talk to him about. We've got a rundown to get to, though, first, and this one is dedicated to Blair Farrell, who yesterday gave us a fantastic buried treasure with Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions on the DS. Excellent choice, Blair. Thank you so much. Remember, all of you EPN members, you can send us any videos of your buried treasures. Just let us know. I put a comment up on our YouTube channel, so just check there, addressed to the EPN members. Thank you for your support, and thank you, Blair. This rundown is all yours. Now, if you thought Super Smash Bros. Ultimate had too much content already, get a load of this. Nintendo has released the new fighter Joker and the version 3.0 update for their massive fighting game. Joker hails from the Persona series and comes with an assortment of knives, guns, and a grappling hook, as well as the ability to summon his more powerful assist, Arsene. He's the first of 5 DLC fighters coming as part of the game's Season Pass, so you'll need to spend some money to get him, although the rest of the content in the new version 3.0 update is free for all players. The biggest addition is the rumored Stage Builder mode, where players can create and share their very own stages. A built-in video editor is also included in the update. This is the game that just keeps on giving. It's ridiculous how much stuff is packed into this thing. I did try to get Joker onto my machine so we could play a little bit of that and that character today, but no dice. It happens, I think, just as we are going to conclude this episode of EP Live. But very exciting. I got the Season Pass. We'll take a look at all of those fighters as if I have found every single fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This is a game you kind of give your life over to. Nintendo did not scrimp on all kinds of wonderful additions and lots of fan service in this game. And I know tons of Persona fans out there looking at you, Johnny Millennium, who is on vacation, not watching YouTube videos in Hawaii right now. Right, Johnny? Don't watch YouTube. Enjoy the sun. All right, let's move on. The PlayStation 5 isn't the only new console on the way. Yesterday, just a few hours after Sony dropped the first details on their next-gen PlayStation, rival Microsoft officially unveiled their long-rumored discless version of the Xbox One. It's called the Xbox One S All-Digital Edition, and as expected, removes the disk drive from the existing Xbox One S, this is getting hard to say, to give users a cheaper alternative. It's $50 cheaper. That can only play games digitally. It will also come with 3 games pre-installed, Forza Horizon 3, Sea of Thieves, and Minecraft, but the hard drive is just as big as the existing S, 1 terabyte, so hopefully it doesn't get filled up too quickly. It hits stores on May 7th, and I do think that this is a good idea. I think that we are moving closer and closer to that diskless future, and I know all the fans out there, physical media, are saying, no, just like they added Vader in the Star Wars movies, no, but I think it's inevitable. I think that we want to be able to digitally access all of this content, and we want it to be ever present for us, and before we know it, it's all going to be able to be streamed, and we're going to be playing games in real time, streaming to our machines that we're just connected to via a subscription service, and Microsoft is vying for that as well. So yes, it's an inevitable step for Microsoft. It's also a way for them to kind of test the market and see what kind of an adoption rate they have with this thing. I think it's pretty exciting that they're adding games to the hard drive. I don't think these 3 games are particularly that amazing to add as an incentive, but you know, it would easily spend $60, $75 or something like that to get all of these games. If you wanted to pick them up and buy them. So you're saving something there, and it's, you know, it's great that we're getting pack-in games. I guess that will be the new incentive when we go fully digital, is they will come with games again. Because remember, when we used to buy consoles back in the day, they all came with games. They don't do that anymore. But this is, it's a nice little gimme from Microsoft. I'm very interested to hear what you think, though. Let us know in the stream or in the comments if you watch this as an archive. Are you guys psyched for our all-digital future? And do you think Microsoft's going to have a hit here with the digital edition of the Xbox One S? Now, that's not the only Microsoft news. The new version of Microsoft's most famous video game character has been unmasked. The upcoming Halo TV series has found its Master Chief. Showtime has announced that the iconic video game character will be played by Canadian actor Pablo Schreiber, best known for his role as Mad Sweeney in American Gods. I haven't watched that show yet. I really want to. He'll be playing John 117, the same Master Chief from the games, although it's unclear how much of him we'll be seeing without the helmet. We do know that, like the games, the show will chronicle humanity's battle for survival against the deadly alien covenant, with Microsoft and 343 Industries working closely with the network. Filming begins this fall, and Microsoft and the studios that are involved with this cannot drop the ball. I think it would be a great move on their part if they gave us this actor in the games as well and sort of tied it all so that there was this familiarity and all of that built-in kind of co-branding and marketing and, the push-pull of it all. I think it would just be genius. I know that's a lot to bite off and lots of rights issues that they'd have to deal with. But if the guy is fit for the role, and clearly, Spielberg's involved with his television show, so clearly there's a lot of muscle behind the production here, and Microsoft and 343 know it can't be crap. It has to be really good. It has to be a prestige show. So if this guy is who they're betting on, I feel like, why wouldn't you want to put him into the games as well, so we're all familiar with it? And that's one of the things that I've been missing from the Halo games. They've made a lot of them, and I've just wanted to get deeper into the lore, deeper into who this character is. Why do we care about him, apart from the fact that he's terribly badass and can kill a lot of aliens? All right, now with Game of Thrones coming to an end, Netflix is rushing in to cash in on the dark fantasy market. Netflix has announced that their new Witcher series, another video game TV show kind of, starring Henry Cavill, will debut this fall. It's currently shooting in Hungary, and like the Witcher books and games, will focus on the superhuman Geralt of Rivia, who uses his supernatural powers to take on even more powerful monsters. Judging by the promo material that's been released so far, Netflix is clearly hoping that this will be their answer to Game of Thrones. Chief Content Officer at Netflix, Ted Sarandos, also points out that both the books and the games have international popularity, particularly in Eastern Europe, where the franchise was born, and it also happens to be a market that Netflix wants to get a bigger foothold in, so the mystery widens there. It makes sense for Netflix to kind of think internationally with its productions. I know that Henry Cavill is very fired up to take this role. He was talking about his love for video games, and specifically this character, I think when he was still in the super suit. So I think he is itching to do something very cool with this show. And again, Netflix can't really drop the ball here. It has to be great. There's so much pressure to turn some of these video game properties, some of these characters that we love from this medium, into something that really resonates, almost like what the comic industry has been able to do with all the superhero movies out there. And who knows who's going to be the first one to really nail that. I don't think it's going to be that Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but we don't know. Maybe it's Detective Pikachu. I think there's a lot of excitement for that movie. I'd like to see Detective Pikachu take on Henry Cavill as the Geralt of Rivia. That'd be a good movie. That would be fun, right? Yeah? Yeah, that'd be good. All right, well, I am excited to see this. I wasn't excited by the photos that we saw of Henry Cavill in all the wig and the accoutrements, but we'll see. It could be really fun, and definitely there's going to be a big absence when Game of Thrones leaves the airwaves. All right, you guys, that does it for our rundown. We've got to take a look back at this day in everything cool. Welcome to This Day in Everything Cool for April 17th. On this day in 1937, not one, but two iconic cartoon characters made their debut. Daffy Duck and the bumbling hunter Elmer J. Fudd appeared for the first time in the Warner Brothers cartoon Porky's Duck Hunt. Porky had made his debut 2 years earlier and was actually the first big Warner Brothers cartoon character, and with the introduction of Daffy and Elmer, the animation team grew their roster. Daffy and Elmer were popular with audiences, but as you can see, they looked very different from what they look like today, and it wasn't until the 1940s that they evolved into their more recognizable selves. It also wasn't until the 1940s that the world saw the introduction of the most memorable Warner Brothers character, Bugs Bunny. His first cartoon didn't premiere until 1940.
What's up, Doc?
On April 17, 1987, a different kind of animated franchise found its way to video games. The original Fist of the North Star game was released on the NES in Japan, although it wouldn't find its way to North America for another 2 years. The game was based on the Japanese manga and anime franchise of the same name, and similar to other NES games like Double Dragon, it was a side-scrolling beat-em-up with players punching and kicking their way through enemies. It was one of the first big video games based on a manga or anime property, and it also helped introduce newcomers, particularly Westerners, to the franchise for the first time. Dozens of other Fist of the North Star video games have followed. April 17th, 2011 saw television audiences venture to Westeros for the very first time. The first episode of the fantasy series Game of Thrones premiered on HBO, introducing viewers to all the characters and places that have since become household names. Based on the fantasy books by author George R.R. Martin, several adaptation attempts had already been made, with HBO picking up the rights in 2007. The show spent years in development and had some major stumbles along the way, and HBO even reshot the pilot episode a second time, recasting many of the parts at the last minute. It paid off, and the first episode was a hit, drawing 2.2 million viewers in its initial airing, and it only built on that audience going forward. Today, Game of Thrones has become one of the most successful and iconic television shows of all time, defining a new era of fantasy television that saw a stronger emphasis on realistic stories, characters, and production design. It's scheduled to end with Season 8 in 2019. All right, you guys, you are in for a treat today. Everybody here in the studio, thanks for coming. Thank you very much for being here. And everybody watching at home, it's fantastic to see everyone. Everybody on Earth has seen a Pixar movie, and there's a good chance that you've seen some of this gentleman's work. Please welcome to the stage veteran animator Mike Makarewicz. It's great to have you here. Yes. Don't trip, Mike. Don't trip. You got it. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to meet you. Thank you for coming up to Vancouver and talking with, I think, students and with people at TED as well.
Yeah, it's been an awesome experience. And I just love coming up here. Just it's a great city. So
yeah, there's a lot of animation that's happening in this town, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a huge hub, which is nice because it's close to, so I don't have to travel too far because I'm not a big traveler.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice just to be able to hop up here and. Yeah, I mean, there's some amazing work happening with Sony just releasing Spider-Verse, which was just a blast to
had
watch.
some of those guys on. They were, and one of the things that I told them, and this was my first question to you, as somebody that how long have you been at Pixar?
About 16 years, a little over 16 years, yeah.
Well, while you've been at Pixar, you've seen the Pixar look adopted in movies all over the world.
Yeah.
And like the philosophy of the way you create your animations, you can see exemplified in lots of different movies all over the place. Does that bother you guys?
I don't know. I mean, me personally, I feel it's just where the industry goes. It's sort of like computer graphics, CG in general has sort of. It's been interesting to see that when a company like Pixar started or Disney like adopting 3D, they kind of will start to have their own looks. They will, but eventually smaller companies. Sort of like before they couldn't do it. They couldn't make a feature film or a movie, but technology has gotten so much better.
Yes.
You know, it's gotten faster. It's easy. It's like people are making films on their laptops, no problem.
Yeah.
You can. So it feels like you can make an animated film just from a couple of laptops almost.
It's amazing.
And that's huge difference from like I think when those companies started and they needed that huge computing power.
Right.
To just but eventually the looks sort of found themselves, and I think every studio has their style. And the styles for each studio varied a little bit, but they were similar.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting to see in terms of 3D, like CG stuff, when Spider-Verse came out, just how, like, whoa, it was a nice sort of like refresher in a way.
That is a nice tip of the hat because it won the Oscar and The
did,
Incredibles 2, which you worked on.
I did very, very heavily.
A beautiful film.
Yeah,
it was no
absolutely.
slouch as a superhero movie or as an animated movie.
No.
And it deserved its nomination, but then Spider-Man swung in and took the gold. But it feels like you guys were understanding of that.
Well, I think we're just proud of the artistry. You know, the thing is when whether it's our studio or Sony, when when they do well,
Yeah.
we all do well.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is about everybody being successful together.
Yes.
Because I love the fact that animation now is stronger than ever. It's
Yes.
growing stronger. People are more into it than they've ever been before. And so it's like, thank you everybody who's doing the hard work they're doing, just to keep doing it.
Yeah,
You know,
there's
so-
no trying to kind of couch this or explain that this
No.
is a kid's movie that appeals to everybody. Gets it that these
Yeah.
things can resonate. Why is that? Why do animated movies have that power over us?
Why they have the power of resonating such like
Yeah,
this?
you see a movie like Up, and you'll
Okay.
never forget that opening sequence till the day you die.
Well,
and
I mean-
you will reflect on it.
Because of chances, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we, taking chances on story making, on filmmaking is, I think when people see that, they react well to it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times when things fail, but you learn from your failures, and I think that's a great thing too.
Yeah.
But like that you mentioned the beginning of Up, and I was always impressed by that because I saw that in storyboards, and I was always like, this is so beautiful. They're doing this moment without any like dialogue.
Yeah.
It's just this wonderful moment.
Yep.
And a little part of you goes, I'm not sure if it's going to stay. Will it keep, for all the iterations of the film, will it stay? And you
Right.
see the next iteration, you're like, it's still there. And then you start animating on it, you're like, it's still there, and it's so beautiful. But the best is probably when, like yourself, when you get to talk to audience members who watch it, and that means a lot to them.
Yeah.
I'm so busy working. You envelop yourself into the arts, but you forget how it affects other people. And it's not until I started to teach that people would come up and go like, I remember those moments. They meant a lot to me. And you're like, oh yeah.
That's what it's all about, right?
Like, it is.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to be part of something that is so positive, I guess.
That is awesome. My daughter asked me a question that I wanted to pass on to you because I said I was talking to an animator today.
Yeah.
And she said, does that mean that he draws everything? And I went,
It's a common question.
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think what you do is you take the models that are built and you make them live.
Yeah,
It's kind of your job.
I think the way I try to describe it is we're sort of like puppet masters.
Right.
And we have the puppet that we can pull the strings, but
Cool.
our puppet exists in the computer. And instead of just a couple of strings, we have like 3,000. Okay? So it takes a lot of effort to try to create a performance out of such a complicated puppet.
Yeah.
But it is puppetry within the machine.
Yes.
And as for drawings, we definitely have a lot of 2D artists that work with us, and we do implement that to help us get to the final image, the final sort of, but it's not an actual drawing per se, but someone will draw over my work.
Right.
They'll see it and they'll be like, Mike, more like this, more like that, and then I will try to match it with my puppet.
So that was my next question. As you're animating, I guess
Yeah.
you're also having to you manipulate, and it has to be a malleable thing, not just in the work that you're creating, but then
Right.
you have to pass on that work so it gets embellished, I would imagine, right? And
Well,
improved.
Yeah, I mean, mine. I'm just one stage of the whole
Yeah.
thing, which is pretty cool because every stage you kind of see the entire project just getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, when we get in there, we're improving upon what was just given to us. Hopefully, right? And then it goes over to lighting, and when the lighters get to just when you're done with all your work, and they light it and they support that lighting with it's just gorgeous, and it's making us feel even more. And then the effects team is going in there and they're making sure that the clothing is supporting it, and it's such a cool team effort to finally see it on the screen. So, but it takes so much time. So,
That is changing. I want to talk to you a little bit about real-time animation, though,
Okay.
and I've been reading a little bit about how it's revolutionizing the industry in a lot of different ways, and certainly Unreal is a big part of that equation
yeah.
right now. But I want to talk about the iteration over time, because now you're working on sequels to beloved franchises. It took a long time between Incredibles 1 and Incredibles 2. One of the challenges that I think you guys had as creators is you had to sync up the look of it, even though we had progressed so much with technology, right?
Yeah, I think that's very difficult to do because you're basically, it's like, because if you watch the films back to back, there is a 15-year difference almost, and technology progresses so much. So you're absolutely right.
Yes.
So, I guess the way to best describe it is the technology that's underneath, the things that you don't necessarily see, is drastically different. So, I'm a car nut. I love automobiles. So it's almost like you took a 1969 Camaro and you put all new suspension engine that's from 2019 underneath it. But on top, it looks like a 1969 Camaro.
Okay.
Right. So everything underneath is brand new and really really cool. But the top of it does change a little bit, just because there was technology, there was things that the director might have wanted back then that just simply was not possible.
Right.
Possible now.
Right.
But you can't make it so different that you, as an audience member, would be like, wait a second, this is too different for me.
Yeah.
So you do.
Unless you go into Spider-Verse.
Unless you go into Spider, yeah, exactly. Which is nice, because you make a universe a rule that you can just kind of do whatever. But unless, so there's subtleties that can change, but it can't change that much. Yeah.
Did Toy Story 4 present similar problems there too? Because you're dealing with not only sort of toys from out of time that a lot of kids have kind of forgotten about in some ways, but now the movies have been around for so long.
But I think that's one of my favorite things about like that particular franchise, is the fact that I got into animation because of that first one.
Right.
And I guess like getting to watch it over it's the same. It's so cool to know that the same people are making all of them over such a long period of time. Like, it's been probably maybe, I don't know,
feels like 20
years since the first one. And the fact that it's the same group of people like doing it is so cool, I think, right? But the thing about Toy Story, I think, which is not as difficult, is I think the toys themselves, they sort of age really well.
Yeah.
But if you watch something like the humans in those worlds, they don't age very well, because it was hard to do humans back when Toy Story was made.
So the humans in the new movie are going to look...
They're going to look...
much more modern and more...
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're always trying to blend, but they can't go back to the old style. They can't do exactly new. So they're just trying to make sure that they're finding a language that sort of works. But that's probably that's the hard part. The toys, I think, like Buzz has always kind of stayed, and there's nothing really different necessarily about him, or Woody or something. So
we've been hearing from the voice cast.
Okay.
And little snippets will pop up there as part of interviews and things about the emotional qualities of Toy Story 4. And I'm wondering if there is that at Pixar too. Like, are you... as shots are completed and you guys are watching them, is there a melancholy that sort of comes in as you're kind of saying goodbye to a lot of this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, always enjoying working on the project. And what I like about sequels for me is that I really like the characters I work with. So when they come back, it's kind of like hanging out with old friends.
Sure.
So it's fun. And you do kind of know the characters. So as an animator, it's hard to get into a character, but when you feel like that person's coming back, it's like putting on that old jacket. I like this. I remember this. So that's always fun. But when a project ends, it's always kind of a melancholy, for sure.
Yeah.
And we don't know if is this going to happen again or not. So it's sort of like sometimes you just say goodbye and hopefully it's not, but it might be. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That wait between Incredibles 1 and 2 was interminable. It was not fair.
Okay.
Yeah. and now that we've seen Incredibles 2, it's like, why is there not a show of these awesome characters? This would be incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
Should we get Brad Bird on the phone right now?
He's on Twitter. You could probably tweet him or something, I guess. No, and I'm glad Brad came back to do that. And it's nice to see that the old team kind of gets to do that movie again, because I don't see that too often in the entertainment industry, where it's the classic team redoing the next versions of it.
Yes.
It's usually either a different studio or something else happening.
You also kind of put on, as part of the ethos of Pixar, that it wouldn't be that interested in making sequels. It seems like an artistic studio that just wants to create new art, and let's reinvent ourselves over and over again.
Right. I mean, I think that's a big part of it. But sequels, I think the whole idea has been, if we're going to do a sequel, it's got to be worth telling.
Yeah.
So. And if that's, again, I love revisiting them, but I think finding new content is difficult, first of all, right? And it's like, where are we going in the future with this stuff? So, but we have plenty. We have so many, I think, for the next, I don't know, several years, where it's nothing but originals coming out.
That's awesome.
So. Because we've sort of done this sort of pass on our sequels, and right now it's like there's a focus on originals, which is, I think, a lot of everybody's going to be stoked to see, because there's some cool stuff coming.
What was the first project that you took on when you started at Pixar?
Yeah, when I was first brought on there, I was brought on as an intern. I did the internship there, and that was just sort of happening right at the end of Nemo.
Okay.
And then my first real movie project was The Incredibles.
Wow.
Which is like an amazing thing to have as your first
Yeah.
movie, you know. I was in school working really hard, and I remember watching the Bob trailer of him putting on the belt, and you're like, dude, that's awesome.
You watched the trailer, and then you went to work on the movie. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That teaser was
That is incredible.
That teaser was so cool, and my instructors that I was working with, they were working at Pixar at the time. And they were like, yeah, we're doing, we're working on the movie. And I was just like, wow. I kept working hard because that's where I wanted to finally work. And I was lucky enough that I made the internship.
Yeah.
And there it happened. I was like, I can't believe I'm going to work on this movie. And I actually got hired by Brad Bird.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was like just him saying, hey, I'd love for you to work here, and work on this movie. And it's like, yeah.
I watched the I watched the doc on the old wise men of Disney.
Yeah.
Then was he? Which you have to see if you ever get a chance. It's Brad Bird sort of breaking down who he was trained by, and it was
Milt Kahl.
Yeah, the seven old men or something.
It's the 9 old men.
9 old men, yes.
From Disney, and
Yeah.
Milt Kahl in particular was somebody that he worked very closely with, which is just a truly outstanding animator.
Did he share that with you? It wasn't just part of a documentary package. He actually passed that on to you.
Well,
as
that's
you
what's one of my favorite things about working with Brad is his history and knowledge.
Mm.
And because when you work with him, he's up to date, of course, with everything, but he has so much of that like past history where he comes from, that sort of that tradition. And so as he's working with you and going over it and critiquing the work, he's explaining things that he went through.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just so awesome to hear, because part of it is kind of like just a history book that you're going through. And it's rare for me to, I think, just kind of get that. So
That's awesome.
it's the best. Yeah.
When you look at your IMDb page or your resume, I mean, you were on Ratatouille.
Yeah.
Did you work on Up as well?
Yes, Up as well. Yeah.
And any previous Toy Stories?
Just Toy Story 3.
Just Toy Story 3.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, I don't know.
But when you think of the Pixar people, it's like, well,
Yeah.
they have to work like 5 years on one of these.
Correct,
And
yeah.
how do they go to another thing? Like,
Yeah,
but
it's-
you think that they're just siloed. But it sounds like you've had the chance to touch a lot of these
Well,
movies.
it's only because I think earlier in my career, the studio has sort of changed their production line because they do make more now than they used to.
Okay.
So basically, back when I first started, we were at about a movie a year,
Mhm.
I think, or maybe even less than that.
Right.
And so you could pretty much hit every movie. And then later in my career, the studio took on more work where you had to basically skip shows. You can't work on everything. And if you do work on everything, you're only working for like 2 months on it.
Okay.
Which is not that fun, because it's hard to jump onto any kind of, I think, an artistic project and go, here's all the stuff. You're like, I don't really know it.
Yeah.
And you're trying to do some stuff and then it's over.
Yes.
And you don't feel part of it. So I for example, I saw Incredibles 2 coming up and I really wanted to work on it. So I had to skip Cars 3 and Coco
Okay.
in order to get onto the show early to really be part of that show.
Does it ever, like, you just list these things off like they're just these projects that you have, but do you ever sit back and just like think of the culture, like you can't walk anywhere on earth without seeing merchandise from your studio, you know?
That's true. I don't know. I don't think about it. And now my daughter, who I had on Incredibles 2, I'm now a
Congratulations.
father. Thank you.
Nice.
And
Daughters are the best, even
So,
ones that ignore you when you're making a show.
I think my daughter. I think I'll experience that more.
Yeah.
I think not. I didn't. I just sort of am blind to it in a certain way when I walk around the world, and I'm just sort of like, oh yeah, I'm just.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get kind of numb almost to it. But I think now that I have my daughter, she'll be reminding me a lot of it.
Plus free Disneyland passes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's fantastic. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to going and experiencing that with her, seeing how that is through her eyes. And and she was a great inspiration for a lot of work I did in Incredibles 2, actually. Being Bob being a tired father, I was a tired father. You know what I mean?
There was a whole documentary on the behind the scenes of that movie, which was about how hard you were working and how you all had to juggle the real pressures, and I couldn't believe the openness of that documentary. I thought it was
nice.
remarkable.
It is, yeah. And I'd have to say, if one of my favorite documentaries is if you guys are into animation and if you haven't seen Iron Giant by Brad Bird, please watch The Iron Giant, because
masterpiece.
it's one of my favorite animated films. But there's this fantastic documentary called the Giant's Dream, and it is one of the most visceral, honest documentaries about filmmaking that I would, to me, I go, whoa, I can't believe they said that. I can't believe they said that.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
And I just recommend it. It's just I use it as inspiration when I'm working, just in the background, just to hear these stories.
Yeah, I mean, it must be kind of grueling, right? Because it takes so long to push the rock up the hill.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it comes, down the hill very quickly.
It takes and our schedules get tighter and tighter. So, before a movie might have taken 5 years, and now maybe we can do it in 3. It's just everything kind of gets a little bit more just tight. And that's I think that's pretty normal. But I think for me, working on something that I worked on a long time and very close to, I actually can't watch it for years.
Wow.
Without any kind of an honest eye, because you see a movie.
Yes.
You see Incredibles 2.
Right.
I see where I was in my life on Incredibles 2.
Yes.
I see my daughter being born.
Yes.
The pressure of that. Just in general, whatever's going on in your life, it's these memories that are, and then so I can't see a movie up there.
Wow.
So. You
should see Incredibles. It's a great movie.
Yeah. Well, I did. So I went back to my old school, I think 9 years later, I went there to visit and do a talk, and Incredibles was playing on the screen.
Nice.
And I kind of had that thing where I just looked at it, I was like, oh. And then I just kind of sat down and I just watched it, because I could finally watch it without having those sort of memories anymore.
Do you have a favorite memory? Do you have a day or a project or a shot that just fills you with so much joy?
I have my mentors at work, who I hold in high regard. There are times when I remember, particularly when my mentors would say something that meant a lot to me, and it sticks with me because I just like put them in such high regard. They're just these, I don't know. I'm like, I just want to be like you. You're so good, And when one of them was when one of my mentors, he asked me to come into his office to be like, I need you. I went there to be like, look at my work, which he did. He looked at it, critiqued it. It was great. But as I was leaving, he was like, come back. And it was like, well, why am I, did I forget something? Is there anything else you want to say? And he's just like, no, I need you to look at my work now.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was this very interesting moment for me, because before it was just, you just go there for a critique. And I was like, are you sure? And he's just like, yes, you have a very good eye for this, and look at my work now.
The student has become
the
the master.
Not even, but just the ability to share that was so wonderful. And I remember that moments like that, which
this is an incredible lesson, because there's a lot of people that watch our content and watch interviews like this, and they have the stars in their eyes that they want to see finished products, because we live in such a product-centric society, a consumer society, for better and for worse. But it's about the people. It's about these memories. It's about these moments that you collaborate with.
Oh, yeah.
That mean more than any of the finished stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I was at my, I would say, my hardest times where as an artist, where I was really at the lowest, it was the people I was with that picked me up out of that, which I owe a great deal to.
That's awesome.
Brad Bird is one of them. I mean, as such a supportive director, and what I love about Brad is he gives a lot of young animators chances. He's willing to take risks.
Well,
like that.
he was an intern at Disney when he was like 13 or something like that, or maybe
really
even younger.
Yeah,
he wrote to Disney and they said, sure, come on down. And he worked with these legends. And that's what got him inspired, and then he's been passing it on.
And he's so just full of energy and passion, and he's, I think, what's the word? It's this where it's intoxicating to have that as a leader, you know what I mean? So,
fantastic.
And we needed that on something on like Ratatouille, which was a very difficult movie in terms of raising the bar for animation, but doing it in a short amount of time.
Sure.
You're gonna burn out, and burnout is pretty normal, I think, for artists. And so just when you're about to do it, he has the sense about that, and he's able to just give this speech.
Yeah.
This like William Wallace, like brave, like he just needs a horse. You know what I mean? Like it's this amazing speech that you're like, I will go to war with you, man. Like, I don't, like.
You're lifting your head up out of the mud.
Yeah, it's
but,
totally
yes,
like,
I'm here.
Who is that? You know? And he gives a really profound, amazing speech. And I think the reason we react well to it is because it's just not, he's honest when he gives it.
Right.
You feel that,
Right.
you know.
And he's been there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Do you see yourself maybe, you know, I mean, you're teaching,
Yeah.
and you give workshops
I
and
do,
master
yeah.
classes.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself maybe heading up a project down the road
No.
or a studio?
Nope.
Or, no?
Nope.
Okay. All right. You've thought about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I enveloped myself so heavily into the art of animation, being an animator, and producing work that hopefully stands the test of time. But
It
to go,
does.
But to
Oh,
go,
short answer.
but
It
to
does,
go
right?
beyond
Yeah.
that and to like be a director, for example, it actually doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the main person. I like being somebody's right hand. Is what I enjoy. Is
Cool.
somebody telling me, Mike, I want to do this, and I go, I will deliver that to you.
Awesome.
And I like the pressure of that. You know, it's how I think I do better work is when someone goes, and Brad has done this, where he goes like, yeah, I'm not sure if it can be done.
Yeah.
And you go, well, hold on a second. You know, come on. Like, I'm pretty sure it can be. And he knows how to test you. It's great. And I love that because he was able to make me produce stronger work that way.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Toy Story 4 is imminent. It's coming up very quickly.
Yeah.
Can you tell us? And the marketing has been pretty secretive.
Is
there
it?
hasn't
Okay.
been. Yeah, hasn't been a whole bunch.
But not
of
the
stuff.
date. I think June 21st.
Yes.
Which is actually my birthday.
No,
yeah.
well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Can you give us anything to kind of look out for, animation-wise, or any shots, or any scenes in particular that you're proud of? Don't spoil
Yeah,
too
I can't
much,
spoil
but
it.
yeah.
No, I mean, I think there are so many scenes that are fun in there, and I think everybody's going to really enjoy the new characters, which they've released some of them and stuff. But there's more. There's more to come. But I can't. I just yeah.
So more characters and some good cameos, maybe some voices or actors that we're familiar with.
Yes, I think everybody will just be very pleasantly surprised. So.
Cool. Yes, let's maintain that
Yes,
surprise.
yes.
Let's talk a little bit about real-time animation, because I read an article in Forbes not too long ago that this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar new industry where people are going to be putting on performance capture suits,
Okay.
bringing in that data, and then going like making TV shows and
Yes.
quick turnaround on real-time animation. Is that something that Pixar is investigating or has an interest in, or do you see it as a threat?
I love how you throw that in there. Anything threatening? No, I mean Pixar. First, I think as a studio, I think as most studios, they investigate all technologies. So
Yes.
I think they look at a lot of different things. I think motion capture is one of them. We don't in animation right now don't do any motion capture. We're a keyframe.
Yep.
But investigation and seeing how else can we make movies is always there, which is great because you want to be innovative.
I want to pause for 1 sec here. I want to clarify. So every Pixar movie has been keyframe animated.
As far as I know,
There hasn't been motion capture animation. That's amazing. That's
as far as I know,
because
yeah.
you feel the preponderance of that technology. It's everywhere, and you would think that there would be some adoption there, but you've chosen as a studio.
Yeah, if every and I can only speak to the main characters because that's where I live, and doing stuff. But we've never used motion capture to do any of our main characters.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just proud of that particular part of the craft.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And for example, I want to see The Missing Link because Leica is doing that, and I was talking to an animator from Leica recently, and I'm just so
They're geniuses.
just like wow, the fact that you still do this, and I got to play with one of the puppets actually physically and go like, this is amazing. I can't believe this is still done.
Yeah.
But the fact that now you go into the other end of extreme, which is technology, right? I mean, I don't know. I see. There's a place for everything. So if you're talking about maybe cutting costs because you can get it faster.
Not
I
me.
Don't know. Okay.
No, it was in that article.
It was in the article.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the article like?
Well, they were just saying that this is going to change a lot. Like the deep fakes technology that was out there, where people were able to kind of recreate that Princess Leia scene that was in Rogue One using Carrie Fisher's likeness much quicker and almost at the same level of quality, and some people said better than what ILM had worked on.
Okay.
And it just feels like technology is moving fast in so many different ways.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I I just don't know much about it, to be
Yeah.
honest, because I've never done motion capture myself. I've
Right.
never been in a place where I had to do it, or even do what they would call motion capture cleanup or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I just have no experience in it, and we don't really dabble with it. So
That's awesome.
Uh,
Are you excited now that the roadmap for Pixar is a bunch of new territory?
yes, I think so. I mean, it's very nice to see just kind of original ideas. I think that's always cool. Like I said, visiting old friends is great, but kind of getting to try something new is fun, and mainly just for challenge. I think as an animator, I'm looking for ways to challenge myself as an artist, and I'm hoping that the new films have something in them that could really frighten me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How many projects does Pixar cancel? And is that a big part of the development and the process and sort of learning to work there?
Yeah, not as far as I know, not many.
Oh, okay.
But some projects are in development a long time. Others go through it really quick. So it's one of these like personal journeys that happen for the individual, which is the director who usually pitches this story or whatever it is. Which I like the fact that it's so personal. It's not like the idea comes out of nowhere or comes out of randomly, and then they try to find somebody to pair it up with.
Yeah.
It's cool that ideas are coming from people. They're coming from the directors there, and they're very personal, which I like. So, but I don't know too much of what goes on behind the scenes, to be honest.
Right on.
Yeah.
And you have the skills and the flexibility to just move from genre to genre and character to character, and that's the fun of your job. Right?
It is. It's really fun. It takes a lot to do it. Like animating an octopus, and then you're doing a car, and then you're doing a rat, and then a human, and then and there's universal truths to all of them in certain ways.
Sure.
But there's absolutely some stuff that's difficult. I think the octopus was probably one of the hardest to animate.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Iron Giant,
Yeah.
and I have to ask because I think this is an important one for people that may be thinking of getting into animation.
Sure, yeah.
A movie that really moved you, an animated movie or a show or something that moved you and said, "Oh my God, I'm moving my life in that direction."
And
when
animated?
you were a kid, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my top one is the Iron Giant. My second one is a Goofy movie.
No way.
Yeah.
The Goofy movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it's awesome. And the movie's great. Yeah. So, and I
wasn't
didn't even
expecting
know,
that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I didn't. And then there was animators at work who worked on it, and I found that out later.
No way.
Yeah. And I was like, "Do you worked on Goofy movie?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was, "Dude, whoa!" Like that was a. So yeah, that movie's awesome. I just played that movie over and over again. So. It's very obviously different than the Iron Giant. The Iron Giant is this masterpiece to me, and it still gets me emotional watching it. And what was really cool is I found Iron Giant on VHS. Well, there's some age right there. Yeah.
No.
So
No worries.
And it's like I watched it on a small TV.
Yeah.
So I found it by accident. I put it in. I loved it, but it was on a tiny TV. And at work we have a huge theater, and they play movies there. And one day they played the Iron Giant, and I got to see it
The way
in
it
its
was
glory.
supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it was so amazing to see that movie like that, and because the giant actually sounded and felt giant.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was awesome. But those are my I love those two. And Kubo in the Two Strings, I really was.
Oh, that was incredible.
Super into.
Yeah.
And I love just the small the story was between this and the way they took it. I was very impressed by it.
There's your watch list for the weekend there, a master class of movies to watch.
I think those are all fun. I think what's cool is like we'll have this debate with friends, and we're all very different. Everybody has their top their top five, and they're sometimes drastically different. So.
Well, what a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming up and being such a great ambassador for Pixar. We love
Thanks.
your company. Please keep it up. Can't wait for Toy Story 4.
Yeah,
Round of
thank you.
applause for Michael. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, let's take a look at a buried treasure. Oh man, this was a great one. This was suggested by Jeremy at Devil's Due on Twitter. He says, check out Space Station Silicon Valley. This was a Nintendo 64 game. I think it came out in 1999. You play as a little robot that has to basically possess other little robot animals to accomplish goals and objectives. It's a puzzle platformer, kind of open world, but you've got a lot of flexibility in the way that the game plays out. And you test out a whole bunch of stuff based on the possession technique, which we love to employ in video games. There's lots of games that allow you to possess other objects out there. But this was a lot of fun. It was made with a lot of a flair, a lot of style, and a great sense of lovable humor, and it felt very vibrant and alive, and the graphics were great at the time. It's going to look dated now for sure. The N64 stuff, you know, the low poly stuff, whether you're on PlayStation 1 or N64, it hasn't aged that well, but it's hard to fault the imagination and the ingenuity. There's some pretty cool level design, and it's just fun to see all of these animals that have these robot parts, and they've become connected to the technology that's a part of this space station. It was just a lot of fun to play back in the day, but what's cool about it, it was made by DMA Designs, which already had a great track record. They'd brought us Grand Theft Auto, and they brought us Lemmings, and they really knew how to craft something special. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have totally forgotten about this game, and that makes it a perfect candidate to be a buried treasure. But wait, there's more. I have been playing this game. It's been kicking my butt, but I want to talk about it. Here's a look at Sekiro. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice came out about a couple of weeks ago, and I got the code just as the game was launching, and I've been playing it ever since, jumping on almost every single day to play it, a little bit, for a few hours, sometimes for several hours, and I get a little bit farther every time, and I want to talk about this game because it is kicking my ass. It's already a big smash success. Activision released a press release saying that it sold 2 million copies, which is the fastest selling From Software game. And From Software, of course, has made Demon Souls and Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and Sekiro is a different kind of experience that borrows from the learnings of those titles, some of the complex mechanics from those titles, but also frees things up in some extraordinary ways. And I guess I want to talk to those people out there that have been on the fence, that haven't checked out this game. Maybe have heard that the game is incredibly brutal and tough, and it's not for the faint of heart, or people with other things going on in their lives. If they're busy people, or if they don't have the patience, maybe they've got a heart condition, maybe they don't want to throw too much at themselves by jumping into this game. I want to just calm you down and quietly assure you that as frustrating as this game gets, it's also, I think, the best game that I've played from. I just love the way that this game envelops you, and I love the world building, and definitely it comes down to the visuals, and the art is just stunning in this title. Lots of mobility and lots of combat mechanics. And yes, you've had incredible combat mechanics with the characters that you've played in Dark Souls and in Bloodborne and Demon Souls, but there was this, this heaviness to the armor and the heaviness to the fiction. It was incredibly creepy and disturbing and dark, and Sekiro still has that as well, but there is a layer of just beauty and respect for life, even though there is this dark rot that imbues the world around you based on how well you're doing in the game, which, suffice to say, there was a lot of dark rot in the game that I was playing because I kept dying, and so that means that it sort of infects the characters that you come across, and they're sort of dying, and everything's got this sort of weird, gross tinge on it, like there's this growth of death on everything. But it's still much brighter, in a sense, than the visuals of the previous games, and I think that compounded my frustrations playing those games, because I wasn't very good at it. I haven't been good at any of these From games. So I'd play those games, but the doom and gloom of them also got me down. Like, me sucking so bad when I was playing it got me down, and then the doom and gloom of everything and these crazy, scary monsters that would come after me in those games, it got a little too much for me. A little depressing, I didn't like sucking so much, and I didn't like being in this world that just felt like like, why would I stay here? It's terrible here. In Sekiro, I want to be here. It's beautiful. I want to visit these little villages, and I want to jump up and leap up into the trees, and I want to go through the grass like a stealthy little warrior, and I want to avoid those flames that are licking up at me and want to engulf me, but can also engulf my opponents. There's a muted quality to the visuals, and definitely sort of an appreciation for the fatalities that you create, the havoc that you create as you traverse through, and death is ever present. And there is this respectfulness around death. I mean, even going back to shrines and these different kinds of statues and things that you'll meet up along the way, there is this, I don't know, this poetic kind of quality to the way that the game unfolds before you. And that was true from previous From games as well. There's always been this very literate elegance about the way From builds their worlds. And Sekiro maintains that, but I guess I just love this ancient Japanese lore. You know, it's just really beautiful. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. The game is beautiful. I love the movement of my character. I love the expressions of people combating oppression, some of these allies that you might encounter along the way. And I even love the boss battles that crush my hopes and dreams of progressing. But one thing that I discovered about this game is that things are not always as they seem. When it feels like all roads are lost to you and there's no way around things, that enhanced mobility that you have, that grappling hook, that ability to kind of scan around the world opens the game up in some really cool ways. And as I started to understand that it wasn't just about annihilation, it wasn't just about destroying every character that you came across, you can avoid some of this conflict. And once I started to kind of appreciate that, because I was getting hammered and beaten down and retrying things over and over again, and then I found these little different ways, these little circuits, these different kinds of paths that I could take that could take me to the next save shrine. And I was like, oh my God, this game is way more than I at first realized. And that's true of all the From games, but I don't know, there's just something about the athletic capabilities of this character and the Batman-esque kind of movement that you've got, you know, that I was really, really hooked and transported. So I remain a student of this game, but I want to impress upon you that if you've been avoiding it, you know, maybe you tried a Dark Souls game, maybe you tried Bloodborne and they were too much for you, and I completely can understand that. What I can say to you, and maybe you're in the minority here, maybe there's just one person that I'm talking to here, but what I can say to you is that I think Sekiro, even though it's potentially even more difficult, it's worth it and it's fun. And as tough as this game is, I also feel it's the most accessible video game that From has released recently, and I absolutely adore it, and I'm sticking with it. And even though it's tough as hell, it's still worth all of your time. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Yeah, Sekiro is awesome, and I think some of you may have noticed that we did do a little camera switcheroo. We placed our guest over here, which, you know, we're learning. We basically took the old studio model and put it into the stage here, but we've been sort of mixing things up and changing things around a little bit, and feels better. Would love, you know, any comments or any thoughts or ideas about how the show is looking. Let us know. We're going to be playing a game for Let's Play and Chat in a second here. In fact, Marcelo, why don't you come on up? You are going to be our player today. You're going to be checking out Time Pilot. But I wanted to show you guys something. I'm not opening this because there's a million pieces, and I think we need to do this somewhere else, and I need to play this with my kid. You can come up and grab a seat right there. Everybody, Marcelo, round of applause. Good to see you. Nice to meet you, my friend.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. This is Nintendo's Labo VR kit. Oh, it's over here. Nintendo's Labo VR kit. Wait, my camera one now? Camera one. Nintendo just happened to drop by and drop this off, so they know that my daughter Ruby and I are huge fans of Breath of the Wild, and I mentioned to Ruby that there's a VR thing that we can play, and so we'll put this together. I told her that there's a lot of building involved as well, so we may hear from Ruby and her thoughts on this whole experience, but I am super psyched. I can't wait to play this. Marcelo, are you a player? Are you a gamer?
Yeah.
Yes?
Kind
Good.
of.
Okay, well, this goes back all the way to 1982. It is one of my favorite old classic arcade games from Konami. And if you can see that screen right there.
I think I can.
Okay, you can actually unplug that. It should be fine.
Yeah.
And then, just rotate the ship around, press the A button, and blast away. We've got about 7 say 8 minutes of Let's Play and Chat, because the interview went long. Wasn't that guy incredible? Was it Michal Makarewicz? Just amazing. Yeah, that was amazing. So if you've got any comments or questions, let me know. Sorry. Oh, we've got one from Jamie. Go for it, buddy. Well, that's actually a fantastic question. We are taking a break because we've got to do some spring cleaning. We moved quickly into the space and set up, but we have an old space that we need to kind of deal with, and I felt like it is time for Blake and I to just deal with that stuff. So next week we are off. And we've done our 3 EP lives this week, so we're basically starting our spring cleaning tomorrow, and then I come back, and then we come back and we'll start with rundowns, but I'm in Los Angeles to go and check out Borderlands 3 on April 29th and 30th, and I fly back on the 1st, so I'll do some rundowns from LA, and then I'm headed to Toronto for a free comic book day at a comic book shop. I think it's called Need a Hero Comics in Belleville, Ontario. A friend of mine named Jonathan McFall, who actually is a former student of VFS, reached out and invited me to come and check out his comic store and to meet the people of Belleville, Ontario. I've never been there. I've always wanted to go, so that's where I'm going to be. Basically, it's a week of other stuff and then a week of production and traveling. So rundowns will return week of April 29th. But we're going to take next week off and not produce, not send anything, except for 2 things. And I'm sorry I get in your way, Marcel. It's a good game, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. We're going to have a review of Days Gone and a review of Avengers Endgame, so definitely look for those, okay? I've been playing a lot of Days Gone. I can't wait to talk about it. Comment, can we get a shout out for the Discord server? We've reached over 100 users. That's fantastic. Taz, yes, please join the Discord server, and we have an amazing community if this is one of your first times watching EP Live. And it might be because we've been getting a lot of attention from the show and the guests that we've been having, and lots of people are sharing the vids, which I appreciate so much. That is an incredible way to kind of share. And honestly, I've never asked this before, but I think if you like the stuff, I know that Reddit and the subreddits that are based around some of these topics, I think they would go kind of nuts for some of these conversations that we've had. If you feel, comfortable sharing them or upvoting, I don't even know what they do on Reddit. All I know is that the few times I've posted videos about things that we've done on Reddit, it's been taken off because, well, you work for them. You can't do that. They have all these policies and rules where people that work for something can't use it as a promotional thing. So, but I think it's cool if you do it. If you dig it and you think other people will dig our stuff, please share and please subscribe and please like and thanks for the love. You guys rock. Let's see. We got here a comment from Tyfish. Take your time, Vic. We can wait. Just get us that sweet, sweet content. Oh, you rock, man. Thank you very much. I will probably be shooting little bits and pieces over there, but I just don't want to commit to, especially when we got to focus on the cleanup. And honestly, the VFS Cafe is off next week for their spring break as well, so the timing just worked out. Question from JBJ Blaze and TFA. Before I vamoose to catch up on TV shows, have you any thoughts on tomorrow's penultimate episode or next week's grand finale of Gotham? I don't. I'm going to wait until all of the this season's episodes have completed, and then I'm going to binge them all. I actually had this moment the other day where I started to watch a little bit of The Expanse because it's on Amazon. Amazon renewed the show. It's an amazing show. I was watching a little bit of season 2, and then I had to stop because I had to play an awesome game, and Game of Thrones was coming on a little bit later. And I'm just like, I was on the internet at the same time because we all multitask now, and I was like, I don't want to see this ad for Avengers Endgame, and I'm just like, how is all of this happening in our lives at the same time? How do we live in this world where there's no time to watch an amazing show like The Expanse? It's crazy. We are so spoiled. So I will spoil myself with some Gotham when they wrap up the season. Let's see. Will you be reviewing Discovery soon? The season 2 finale is tomorrow. Yes, that's the same thing I'm going to do with Star Trek Discovery as well. I have watched a couple of those. Incredible show. Vic, I think you're awesome. I want to be like you. What do I do to keep up the good work? That's from Rowan Strada. Just be like you. Be you. And the only thing I could say is if you want to make videos, don't forget that conversations are very important with other people, with other humans in the room, not just talking to a camera all the time. Right, Marcelo?
Yeah.
It's very important to have conversations. Oh, you're figuring out how to get more credits?
Yeah.
Oh, to start, you go like that. Boom.
Oh, right.
Questions, any thoughts on the Game of Thrones episode? Yeah, it was amazing. I don't want to spoil anything, but that last shot was just so ridiculously powerful. The way those two characters stared at each other from across that distance, it was like, whoa, because it was right near where all the, I can't talk about it, but it was good, but it was definitely a safe, let's get all the characters together kind of thing, and let's remind everybody who everybody is. It's weird that they're all together now, though. It's crazy. Isn't Time Pilot amazing? This game needs to be remade. Konami, I know you're watching, Mr. Konami. I know you're watching. You got to remake this game, but modernize it and let us keep traveling through time because it's such an incredible concept. From biplanes to jet planes to attack helicopters to UFOs. Such a dope idea. Okay, that is going to do it for our episode of EP Live. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed some of the guests that we've been bringing through. We're just getting started. We've already got May 6th show planned, and it's going to be a whopper. It's going to be a fantastic show. So please come back for that episode of EP Live. Get caught up on anything that you've missed. We will have rundowns for you week of April 29th, and some reviews are coming your way soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have fun out there. Make sure you pick up an awesome game like Time Pilot and play forever.